Turning overseas now, where former London police officer Wayne Couzens was sentenced to the rest of his life in prison for the kidnapping, rape and murder of 33-year-old Sarah Everard after luring her off of a street in South London back in March. It was a crime that sparked protests in Great Britain and beyond, and a national reckoning over violence against women. Prime Minister Boris Johnson responded to today's sentencing, saying people must be able to walk on our streets without fear of harm and with full confidence that the police are able to keep them safe. ABC's Maggie Rulli joins us now from London. Maggie, this is a crime that certainly shocked the UK and really around the world. There were protests with this police officer abusing his power to kidnap and kill a young woman simply walking home late at night. And we learned more details through the sentencing of what happened to Sarah Everard. Tell us what you know.
Yeah, Lindsay, this case has been horrifying from the start. We were at those protests from the very beginning. There was so much anger and anguish. And now the more we learn, the more horrific the details are. This was an abuse of power just to the fullest extent. Wayne Couzens was a police officer. He had just wrapped up a shift outside the U.S. Embassy. We know Sarah Everard was walking home. He then abused his power as a police officer using a warrant license to theoretically put her under arrest. Sarah thought she was being arrested. He accused her of breaking lockdown. That was what he accused her of. He put her into handcuffs, put her in the back of his police car, but he then took her to a rural area where we now know he raped and murdered Sarah, then tried to dispose of the body. Lindsay, this is so horrific, not only from the brutality of it, but also, again, that abuse of power. The organization that men and women think are going to keep them safe just turned around and abused in the worst way possible.
And the judge gave a life sentence, which is rare in England. What did he say about this attack and why it was so horrific?
Yeah, this is an incredibly rare sentence, Lindsay, and it's something that the courts have to justify for what they call unthinkable crimes of a serious nature. And the judge has said something interesting. I want to read it out loud for you because he calls this attack an attack on the bedrock of a safe society. The fact that he wasn't just abusing his badge, it undermined trust in the entire police force. And the judge goes on to say that it was an attack on the underpinnings of our democratic way of life. He compares it to an ideological attack, a terrorist attack, and that's how he was able to give such a harsh sentencing. We heard a statement from Sarah's mother, and Lindsay, I have to say, it's almost hard to read out loud. It was so heartbreaking, and I think just shares the anguish of mothers that hear this story. Her mom read a statement in court. She says she spent her last hours on this earth with the very worst of humanity. In the morning, I wake up to the awful reality that Sarah is gone. In the evenings, at the time she was abducted, I let out a silent scream. Don't get in the car, Sarah. Don't believe him. Run.
Oh, man. That is really hard to hear, Maggie. And of course, we all saw those widespread protests this spring after this happened. So how are women there reacting today? And will police there be able to get trust back?
That's the big question here, Lindsay. I think a lot of that trust was fundamentally rocked. Again, that's why that judge laid down such a harsh sentence against Wayne Couzens. We've been at those protests, again, Lindsay, from the very beginning. We were out there with the women, and the thing I kept feeling from them was this anger and then this distrust of the police force. And many people pointed to this crime, saying it is a heinous crime, it is a horrific crime, but it was sort of an exceptional crime. This is not the norm, but it did point to something that they said was more of the fabric of these institutions like a police force and this abuse of power. How do you change that going forward? It's going to be an uphill battle. As we talked to one MP here and a government official in London a few months ago, and she told us, she was out there on the streets 30 years ago for Reclaim the Night. She cannot believe she's out there again. So many of these women are just tired to keep fighting this way, and the police force is going to have a long battle ahead of them to regain that trust.
Yeah, understandably why. Maggie Rulli, our thanks to you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.